Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today's guest is Dr. Janelle Kim, and she's founder, she's a public speaker, author, doctor of Chinese medicine, and ninth generation master herbologist. Dr. Kim, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Adam. Thank you for having me.
All right. We're happy to have you here as well. And I believe Dr. Kate referred you over to us. Were you at the event recently, the beauty event in Glendale, Arizona?
I'm
sorry, Glendale, California. I said Arizona.
Yes.
Am I California?
Yes. I'm from California, so naturally I just assumed, it didn't even faze me. But yes, I was there.
Come back from Glendale, though. I was out there for a bit. So no, I'm talking about the Biohack Your Beauty event with Dr. Kate. So were you there?
I was there, and I was on a panel with some amazing Dr. Patel and Dr. Walter Joseph and Jake Rosenberg, and I was on the beauty panel. So it was an amazing event. I loved the venue, and Dr. Kate is just quite a woman.
What were some of your favorite parts about the event for those that couldn't attend? I know we were definitely helping and partnering, and I did a couple interviews at the event as well on site, and we definitely love supporting Dr. Kate. What was some of your favorite parts for those that couldn't attend?
Well, one of my favorite things, personally, is that I had the chance to connect with so many amazing people, including Dr. Kate personally. So I must say that. And why does that matter to me? Because the people that she basically curated to be on the panels and to speak are people who are really making a difference as far as I'm concerned. Of course, in the world of biohacking, which I'm sure your community is aware of, but that's, longevity, beauty, wellness, all of the things that clearly I have kind of devoted my life to educating as well to the best of my ability, and something that's very important to my family and I, taking care of ourselves. We only have one mind and body on this life. So it's very important. And so, yes, and one of the things also I must say, Adam, that I love is the integration. So here I come in kind of with the Eastern, education, which I know we will get into today, but of course, Eastern medicine, Eastern philosophy, Eastern practices, which I'll explain how that fits into biohacking, like I said, I'm sure. But what an amazing thing, even on my panel alone, Jake Rosenberg has a men's skincare or grooming company. And then you have Dr. Walter Joseph, who's a very well-known plastic surgeon who does amazing things with, kind of medical spa, injectables, lasers. I learned some things. You can't see me right now, but I'm half Korean. I'm half American. So my mother is American. My father is Korean. And so myself alone, I learned what kind of lasers, the new technology that even I can partake in, because anyone who has pigmented skin, we all know that we don't always have all the options. A little specific, but, really interesting. And then we had Dr. Patel, who is unbelievably well-known and does so much work. So the point being, they're such incredible gentlemen. I love that it's women and men alike coming together from so many different perspectives, and truly providing effective information, which means the most to me.
It's amazing. And so my next question, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've interviewed over 6,000 people. And when I think about family lineage of profession, I think you got it. Like for me, even to say, how'd you get started? Ninth generation. Tell me what that even means. I was trying to count that when I was preparing for this, but ninth generation, talk to me.
I know, Adam. Well, first of all, I appreciate you very much. And
you're
I can
like
go
my
there with
great,
you,
great.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes, that's exactly right. And in full transparency, it grounds me every moment. That
wow.
The
what a
absolute
responsibility.
World it is a responsibility. And the truth of the matter is, it was a choice. One of the most beautiful parts about this is that I was never forced to do this. I'm certain, clearly I had much influence from the time I was born into this world, which I have really come now that I'm in my 40s. I always knew how special that was, and I will continue to understand just the gratitude I have for being part of this lineage and the duty. But the beautiful thing is I was never forced on me. It was a choice that I came to really in my early adulthood when it just hit me. I was on my road to, studying. I don't know if you want me to dive into this yet, Adam.
I do,
but,
please.
Okay, I had a feeling, so I just want to make sure. But, I was on my road to studying Western medicine. I was the first daughter. We came from a pretty traditional family, although I was very integrated into, all the modern things. I had all the friends, did all the things, but at home we were very traditional and had, academics were very important. I was on my way to study Western medicine. And it really was. I was 19 years old, and It just so happened that at that moment in time, I looked around and saw a few people around me have some serious conditions and nothing could help them, but Eastern medicine was able to balance their conditions. And for whatever reason, at that moment in my life, I felt it. You hear that from people and, in many different ways. And I absolutely am here to say that a light bulb went off. Sometimes it can be subtle. Sometimes it's a jolt. But ultimately, it's always a big risk, like leap of faith, if you will. Literally, I picked up, I felt it. And if I ignored that for one moment, who knows if I'd be on this path. But I felt it deep down inside and knew, okay, I am a part of this and I take it very seriously and I'd like to do something about this. More people, particularly in this part of the world, have to understand now what I call the 3M's, the medicine, movement, and meditation. And so I set out, I pivoted, and I started studying Eastern medicine, and look at the path it took me. Lots of different pivots.
Wow. Talk to me. I want to stay in those early days a little bit longer. And the reason why I want to do that is because sometimes people hesitate. Like you said, if you didn't do it, if you didn't go forward, if you didn't, then who knows what would have happened, or if you would have heard that. I used the word calling. You didn't use the word calling, but that calling is what I would call it. So, what do you do next? Talk to me about that moment. Like, you're like, okay, this is my direction. Like, what happens next? First, I have to feel like some of your support group, or correct me if I'm off on this, they must have been like, what are you talking about? What are you doing?
Absolutely.
You've never wanted
People thought I was kidding.
What happens next? What happens next for you?
Absolutely, Adam. At this point in my life, I knew this for probably, my whole life, but boy, do I know now when I look back, and I'm just beginning. But certainly I have a strong spirit. We all do. We have to connect with that. And you're right. Truly, people thought I was kidding. I went back to tell my friends, my father was my greatest mentor. Obviously, that's where my lineage is rooted in. And my father, his teacher, Master Bodhi, and so on and so forth down our lineage. So I'm sure understood it, although he was a very wise man. So he's probably quiet and just, led me in a very powerful but empowering way, if you will. So it was my choice, as I said. But yes, I went to school. I told all my friends, both at home and I went to school at the Claremont Colleges in Los Angeles, and I just told them I'm leaving. Like, I'm packing my things up. I know that I need to do this. Don't tell me anything else. And
wow.
I know what you're getting to, Adam, because I hope that I know what you're getting to. But yes, it's like in life when those moments happen and you feel it, you can't let go because it's so easy to. The way I like to say it is, yes, you hear that calling and you set your mind. I put my mind and my heart into knowing that this is what I have to do, and the universe will guide me along the way, and that's exactly what I did. And I knew, and I knew I could always go back. In fact, I thought I would, but I have not turned back.
And did you hit your mark originally, like on the whether it was the 3M's or whatever your methodology was going to be and how you were going to bring this to the world, or did it take you a little bit of time to find your voice or your space within your form of Chinese medicine or meditation, or just in general within that space?
Well, that is a wonderful question. The truth is, deep down inside, personally, I knew I hit my mark because I could feel it. I knew I'm where I'm supposed to be. Now, let me tell you, Adam, from then until now, which has been decades, boy, did things take many turns. So that's why I loved starting that way, that if I know now more than ever to always pay attention to those moments when you do hear that calling. That's why I do think it's a wonderful way of communicating that. Just kind of long story short, I loved being in clinic. I loved having patients. I was really doing Eastern medicine, and at the time I was not a doctor, of course, but getting my master's. And, I think people are starting to understand more and more how intensive that studying is to become a master of traditional Oriental medicine, certainly a doctor of traditional Oriental medicine in all the fields, including herbal medicine. And I loved being with patients. I devoted my life to that and thought that I would have many clinics around the world and would start to bridge East and West in that way. Now, my current lab, which we won't go down this at the moment, but my current lab where I manufacture products for global and indie brands around the world, so I custom manufacture. I'm behind the scenes, utilizing the knowledge and wisdom of formulation, say it short. It's named JBK Wellness Labs. And some people think I named it after myself, which there's nothing wrong with. However, that's not really my style. It's actually named after my great-grandfather, Jinbo. Okay? And so why I say that is I always thought of him. I never had the chance to meet him, but I knew that he was an amazing practitioner and had clinics much in this way. And so that's where I thought my life was going. And then I'll fast forward a bit here, Adam. This is what I thought. My mind was set. And it just so happened that, my whole life, certain doctors and practitioners would reach out for my family to share formulas, from internal type of formulations, helping to rebalance, your digestion, for example, muscle and joint type formulas we'd make, for professional athletes, but really kind of, like family formulas, certainly in skincare. And there was one particular dermatologist who reached out to me, and I'd heard it a couple of times, but again, for the sake of time, she's the one who said to me, and it hit me. She said, Janelle, you have to do something with this. What these formulas are doing are unlike anything, and she was a very well-known dermatologist, her and actually members of her family. And I thought, oh, fine. So while I'm studying, I just got done telling, my two young boys, at one point, Mommy went to 3 different schools. Do you have any idea? They're like, what? How do you even do that? I said, you know what? I don't even know how you do that. But I was making sure I covered all, bases. And simultaneously, to kind of wrap up here, I started working with companies at that time on all, of course, formulating, product developing, which is what I do now. That's my day job, I say, manufacturing. And we were some of the very first. We started really in the beauty industry, in the spa, high-end spa and resort industry, creating some of the very first natural products, certainly the first plant medicine, herbal medicine. We were on the forefront of all of these huge industries as we see them today, right? Korean beauty, I can't tell you, no matter where I went, many people were interested, but there was a lot of pushback too. Then I just committed. And again, in conclusion for this response, what I would say is I had to change my perspective, which is, I'm sure we'll touch on, is the 3M that I speak of meditation, but it's a living meditation. It's a mindset. And I really do practice this. And one of the main tenets of that is expanding your mind, expanding your perspective. And in that moment, many of these milestones of my life, I realized, in my mind and in my heart, I believed wholeheartedly that my mission, my duty in this life was to have clinics, to help as many people, to educate on Eastern, Western, old and new combining. But then I realized actually through creating formulas and going on and educating to the world, I could reach so many more people, Adam, people who wouldn't necessarily even know to walk through those clinic doors. So I looked at it like the world could be your clinic. And so then here I am today.
Oh, I like that. The world can be your clinic. That's good.
Yes.
I take that. That's awesome, because the world ultimately is whether it's a clinic, your playground, your laboratory, like it is. I love
Absolutely.
it. I love it. Let's go further into just the 3M's and maybe like how that affects your life and how you use it, so others can maybe hopefully do the same.
Absolutely. And again, for the sake of time, we could probably spend hours together, Adam. I already have a feeling. But, and
sure.
you actually, right? You actually said it
Not
beautifully.
Not too worried about that.
We'll have time maybe off of this interview. One of the things you just mentioned so beautifully is that, I can't say it exactly, but you asked me, am I educated? Am I communicating? Am I doing the things now that then that I'm doing now? And I have to tell you, it's constantly evolving. And one of the things that's evolved is that I think that actually at this point in my life, of course, I share the medicine and create the formulas and all of that, which is so important to me. But I say that I think one of my most important jobs is communicating it properly. The ancient practices and tools in medicine that I embody and that I wish to share with as many as possible, they have been around for thousands upon thousands of years. We say these words. Yes, right, Adam? But I always say stop for a second and really think about that. Thousands upon thousands. Eastern medicine dates back 10,000 years. Okay, so now how do we take this ancient medicine, which as far as I'm concerned is as relevant today, if not more relevant than it was even back then? But it's hard to, I don't always say that, the word hard, but I just said it, so I'll go with it. It is. It's challenging at times to communicate very new paradigms, ways of thinking, ways of medicine and philosophy and movement. And so over the years, I have found that one of the greatest ways to communicate this is through what I call the 3M's. They're the 3 pillars. So it's medicine, movement, and meditation. And as I just mentioned, when I say meditation, of course I mean, seated meditation, moving meditation. But to me, I actually put that more in that category of movement. As I said, meditation is a living meditation. That is the book that I wrote with Penguin Random House and Watkins. There are the 8 keys of living meditation. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset that you constantly remind yourself of these principles. And that is one of the greatest medicines. Medicine is medicine in these 3 pillars. Movement is also medicine. That is something I really wish to share with this part of the world. And I teach Qigong in particular. And then you have living meditation, which are these principles, these ways of thinking, and medicine for the mind. Okay, that is how I how I share it with the world, I find that it's easy even for myself to grasp in a certain way when I'm educating and sharing, because it can be a lot. But really, at the end of the day, they're all rooted in the same thing, that we're all human, we're all part of this world, we're all part of nature and the universe, and there's certain principles that apply, and one of the main foundations of everything is about balance. Right? Within our bodies, that's the medicine pillar. The way I even make the formulas are the balance of ingredients when, in fact, you know how to formulate properly. Movement is about balancing. You know, in Eastern medicine, we talk about meridians, the chi in your body, circulation, but ultimately keeping balance within all of your organ systems, your mind, your nervous system. And then we move into even our way of thought. It all comes down to balance. And again, in kind of conclusion of why this is important, right? Why do we want to practice these things? Many people say to me, Dr. Kim, Janelle, you're so passionate about this. And I say, of course, because I literally I couldn't live without it personally. I could not live without these tools. And that is ultimately what our ancient masters, teachers, including those in my own lineage, that's what they passed down to us, are these 3M's, these 3 pillars. And what they have told us, and we have seen now, and it has lasted for thousands of years, is that if we stay consistent in our life, paying attention to these 3 pillars and utilizing the tools in the medicine as they have been passed down, we can live a life of optimal beauty, of optimal health, longevity. That is the true biohacking. That's how I would describe it.
So something that you mentioned earlier about some of the things that you're doing in beauty and otherwise, one thing that I like to do on this particular show is when I can, try to educate myself and the consumers about things that we're purchasing just in general. Is there anything that, I know that we should know that like you said, you're manufacturing as well and doing quite a bit in that space as well. Is there anything that we should be thinking about when we're, purchasing products that maybe we're not even aware about?
Absolutely, Adam. Now, once again, this could be a topic where we could have days talking about this, but, that is something that I educate on and have a very clear understanding of, given the fact that we do develop products, formulate. We are the manufacturers right here in San Diego, actually. A lot of things are done overseas. Ours are all in the U.S., and they're for brands that many, many people would be very familiar with, okay? And so, as I said, I have been committed to natural and clean beauty. Now we call it clean beauty. Back then there was no such thing for decades, and it is really important. So I suppose that's one of the things I would start with, Adam, to give a couple of tips. We hear about how important it is to have clean beauty and clean products, clean food. Food is the best medicine. And my way of communicating this or educating on it, and I hope it resonates with people, it certainly does for me, things have to be, as much as I'm connected and love looking at the universe as connection, I also can be very logical. I like when things make sense. And the way I like to describe this is, so let's start there. It is important. Let me be the first to say it, and I know there's many of us out there saying this. Utilize in your daily life clean products that are not filled with preservatives. So here's my answer. Harsh preservatives, harsh chemicals, artificial flavors, artificial colors, artificial dyes. All of these things are very hard for our body. So as I was just saying, one of the number one principles that just makes sense to me, and this is how I like to explain it, is our bodies are so miraculous. We always hear that, right? And we know this. Our bodies are miraculous. Our body knows how to heal ourselves. If we give it the chance, that's what we forget sometimes. We forget how much our body has to go through, our mind and body, every single moment of the day. And it's nature, it's part of life, it's the mere fact that we are human beings. Even when we're sleeping, from UV radiation to pollutants to chemicals to viruses, you name it, everywhere we go, our bodies have to balance. And so you can imagine that if we had the choice, and at the end of the day, that is a living meditation. That is life. You always have a choice. It's whatever you choose to do. No one can force you to do anything, really. But at the end of the day, if you choose to utilize topical products, because remember, your skin is your largest organ, supplements that are also made clean, and the same things that I just said, watch out which companies you go to. Listen to the experts. Where are your products coming from? These are my answers to how this can be helpful. Remember that at the end of the day, when you're putting things into and onto your body and eating foods that are more clean, right, and being balanced in the foods that you eat, basically what this does is it makes it much less, or how can I say it, it's so much easier for your body to function at its optimum. And it's really that simple. Just picture you keep putting tons of chemicals on your body, keep eating tons of things that aren't balanced for you, too much sugar, red 40, tons of MSG, all the things that we definitely know are not good for us. And guess what? It's going to be that much harder for your body to work properly. And when your body continues to keep having a hard time, like let's make it very elementary here, Guess what? That is where aging comes from. That is where sickness comes from. That is where we have mental health imbalances. And there's so much detail out there, Adam. That's the other thing I just wanted to mention. 20 plus years ago, it was like crickets. Is anyone talking about this stuff? Meditation was so odd, natural products.
Yeah.
Barely heard of them. Herbal medicine, plant medicine, it's so new. And so I couldn't be more grateful that now everywhere you look, there's information. However, there goes that balance again. It's a little bit extreme right now, and I think it's actually just beginning. So there's a good chance it's going to become even more extreme. So we just have to watch ourselves. And what I mean by that is now we're inundated with information, right? You go on all the social media and you have tons of people telling you health tips, tons of people telling you about all these individual ingredients and how they're good for your body. But oftentimes it can be true. But at the end of the day, just remember that, and what I love, here I am as a doctor, an educator, a formulator, meaning I have a lot of roles that I take with serious responsibility that are, let's say, leadership roles where people are coming to me for recommendations, advice to educate. But I'm the first to say, at the end of the day, you are the number one person who knows your own mind and body. You are your best doctor, which means you have to be aware of your condition. Too often I find that particularly in our modern world, we wait until we're really not feeling good. We wait until we have panic attacks and depression and fatigue. If we're more aware of our bodies, which we are doing right now, and that is what these 3M's teach us as well, to be so aware of our bodies that we can tell when something's off. And hopefully the goal is that moment by moment equals living meditation. We're able to rebalance as we go. We don't just keep letting our condition mentally, physically, and spiritually keep going in an imbalanced way where now we have serious conditions. And then it's really hard to come back from them. So I'm kind of covering many topics here, but, I think it's really important for us to understand that. So at the end of the day, do educate ourselves on, I've already said, be aware of whether it's the skincare you put on your body, hair, of course, your face, the supplements that we take, the nutraceuticals, the food that we eat, the people that we're around, the thoughts that we have. Every single one of these things matter, and it can be very natural. But if we're aware of this and we watch ourselves, we constantly reflect and purify, we broaden our perspective, we find amazing experts, even when it comes to different companies, just to make sure that I answer that question. When you're going to look for a skincare brand, I hear this a lot. How do we know? Or supplements. There's so much out there. You can find certain people that really resonate with you, that really know what they're talking about. The companies nowadays, years ago, it could be beautiful marketing, and that's all that mattered. But now I'm so happy, and I know I'm a part of this, and I'm so proud of that, and I don't say that all the time, that now as a company, any kind of company, people do. They spend their time researching. They spend their time educating on the companies that they're buying from, and you should. What was the purpose of this company that you're buying the supplement from or the skincare from? What do they care about? What solution are they bringing for what issue at hand? And how are they going about that? And nowadays, it doesn't take much, but it's important to take that moment. So that would be my overarching answer, if you will.
Yeah, and no, this is amazing, Janelle. And so many of these themes that we're talking about, the good thing is that you mentioned, which I'm going to, as we close this out, I want some more information on, because I definitely want my audience to go pick that up. So some of these concepts that you've talked about when it comes to the 3M's and otherwise are in your book, correct?
Yes, that's exactly right. The book,
so
the current
the name
book
one more time.
Yes, of course. So the full name, Adam, is Myung-sung, The Korean Art of Living Meditation. But honestly, if everyone just remembers the living meditation, and quite frankly, I think I'm going to be coming out with a new edition soon. Again, with Penguin Random House as my distributor. Here, I'm announcing it here with you. Now I
like that. Once you say it public, we're not editing this out. Sorry.
Edit it out, Adam. I just gave myself more jobs.
Yes, you did. And another school. I don't know. I want to sign you up for stuff. I don't even know. We just met, and I just feel like I'm going to give stuff to smart people to figure it out.
Oh, that means so much to me. I will take this responsibility. But yes, so living meditation. And yes, I am working on, actually, I just signed this with my publishing house, that I will be kind of, how can I say, revising, evolving, which is one of the most
the next edition, or the next edition or continuation of your work. I mean,
that's right. In all my spare time.
I like when somebody has been doing something for a long time and they're still learning and growing, because you don't ever want to be stagnant. Like, that's just the way I see it. Like, you don't ever want to.
I love glad that you said that, Adam. I say that very often. Stagnation is like the number one cause of all the things that we don't want in life. So that is accurate.
So Dr. Kim, if somebody's listening to this or watching this and they want to follow up, learn more about you, your practice, follow your journey on social media, websites, or otherwise, how do they do that?
I have my website, JanelleKim.com. I'm sure you will share this, but my name is spelled JENELLE, Kim.com. That is a place where you certainly can find me. I am engaged. I have embraced social media, particularly on Instagram. That is a place that I engage personally the most and share as much as I possibly can on all three of these M's. And you'll find me under Dr. Janelle Kim. So LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, I'm there. I don't check in there as often just because, there's only one of me. And on YouTube, I actually just started. I'm really excited about this. I just started a YouTube series, The Experts, which there are talks that I'm going to turn this into a podcast. I started in, as I call it, my day job, kind of that medicine pillar, because I have been in the beauty industry, an expert in the beauty and wellness industry for, quite some time now. And The Experts, basically, I interview some of the most inspiring people and companies, including L'Oreal, Juice Beauty, Tatcha. I mean, you name it. There's so many of them. And it's a really amazing thing. A lot of what I teach, and whether it's the movement that I teach, whether it's the medicine, the living meditation, I really do like to keep it concise because we are, I think that sometimes we overwhelm ourselves with how much time we need to spend doing things. And so that's the thing I wanted to mention, so I thought I'd throw it in just now. But even these interviews are about 10 to 15 minutes, and they go through specifically, of course, for the beauty industry, but any kind of entrepreneur. There's such great advice, and it's so beautiful hearing these people's stories. People who truly have achieved amazing things in life and huge brands that are doing wonderful things. So that's something that I would love to share with everyone. Again, that's on YouTube. And then, yes, my book we already talked about, and I'm always here, That is truly what I'm here to do, is share as much as I possibly can of what's been handed down. So
awesome. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll put the links in the show notes to the websites and social media, so you can just click on it and head right on over. And speaking to the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day we're bringing you new interviews, new content, and hopefully new ideas to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Janelle, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Adam, thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.